Good good morning. Today we discuss मोनोपॉली हा आपण डिस्कस करणार आहे. Monopoly and I mentioned earlier there are four basic type of market structure: perfect competition, monopolist competition, oligopoly, and monopoly. Oligopoly and monopoly. A monopoly is a market structures in which a single supplier produce and sells a given product to the whole market. If there is a single seller in a certain industry and there are no close substitutes for the product, then the market structure is that of a pure monopoly. Sometimes there are many seller in an industry and or their exit make close substitutes for the goods being produced, but nevertheless companies retain some market power. This is the term monopolist competitions, whereas by oligopoly the companies interact strategically in this unit. We will study monopoly in detail. um, First objective is to understand the characteristics of market under monopoly, to know the price and output determinations of monopoly firm in the short run as well as long run, to understand the difference between perfect competitions and monopoly, Nicola and characteristics of monopoly. The word monopoly comes from two Greek words, mons, being alone or single, and polin, which means to sell. A monopoly is a unique situation where a particular individual or enterprise is the only supplier of that commodity. Monopolies are thus characterized by lack of economic competitions to produce the good or service and a lack of variable substitute goods. A monopoly is a single seller and a business entity has significant market power to charge high price. Market power in the ability to increase the producer price above marginal cost without losing all the customers. Although monopolies may be being business size is not a exclusive characteristics of monopoly. A small business may also have the power to raise price. Monopolies typically maximize their profit by producing less output and selling them at higher price compared to perfect competitions. Monopolies can be established by a government from naturally or from by interrogation. A monopoly, on the other hand, is a market with only one buyer or product or service. Therefore, the market power is on the demand side and not the supply side, as in the case of monopoly. Characteristics of monopoly, single seller. A monopoly's products the entire output single handedly to cater the demand of hens. Hence, there is no decision. Hence, there is no distinctions between firm and industry, and the whole industry is controlled by a single seller. No substitute. The product sold in the market is unique and no close substitute for the product is available. Hence firms are free from direct competition's price maker. There is no threat of other competitors and monopolies can set the price of the quality of the products the sold. High barriers to entry. Other sellers are unable to enter the market of the monopolies due to high barriers to entry. Monopolies drives their market power from barriers to entry conditions that are generally impaired as likely competitors' ability to compete in a monopolist market. Barriers to entry can be broadly categorized into three types: economics, legal, and debates. We will elaborate on these barriers now. Next, the economics barriers. These include economics of scale, high capital requirements, cost advantage, and technological superiority. Economics of the scale monopolies are characterized by decreasing cost for a relatively large range of productions over a period of time. Monopolies often reduce the price below a new entrant operating cost, preventing them from competing since the long-term average cost is constantly increasing. Capital requirements, technical superiority, no subsequent goods, control of natural resources. Next, high legal barriers. Legal barriers means legal rights can provide opportunity to monopolize the market of a goods or service. Intellectual property rights, including patents and copyrights, give monopolies the control of the productions and selling of certain goods. Property right may give a company executive control of the materials necessary to produce a good. Deliberate actions. A company where wanting to create monopoly in a market may engage in various types of deliberate actions to exclude competitors or limit competition. Such actions include collisions, lobbying, governmental authorities, and oppose. In addition to barriers to entry and competition's barriers to exit may be a source of market power. Barriers to exits and market conditions that make it difficult or expensive for a company to end its innovate with the market. Great liquidations cost are a primary barrier for exiting. Next, price and output determinations under monopoly. Short run, monopolist can set the price of the productions and it's therefore known as price market. Therefore, is a negative flow sold market demand curve. It is the sole seller of the productions for which there is no close substitutes. Perfect competitions and monopoly. Monopoly and perfect competitions are two extreme market forms in real world. It is very hard to find examples of perfect competitions and perfect monopoly. Properly, a case of same great wheat market may be close to perfect competitions and railways. Note that road and air transportations are a close substituents in that case. In reality, most of the industry trade to fit between these two extreme forms of market structure. Thus, an important question arises as to why we need to study this case. One must understand that these two models provide managers and policymakers a benchmark against which to measure the industry. Uh, त्याच्यामध्ये त्या ठिकाणी numbers of competitors perfect A comparative analysis that follows this discuss will further enhance our understanding. Uh, first is firstly, let us see some similar summer. These two, first all, their cost functions are same. Second, marginal revenue and price. Third, production definitions. Third, number of competitors. Fourth, barriers to entry. Elasticity of demand. Excess profit. त्याच्यानंतर profit maximizations. त्याच्यानंतर profit maximizing quality, price and profit. त्याच्यानंतर supply curve. तर this diagram figure 8.29 demand profit competitions curve दाखवलं. नेक्स्ट आहे त्या ठिकाणी monopoly power. Monopoly power is the ability to increase the product price above marginal cost without losing of customers or the ability to affect the terms and conditions of exchange so that the price of a product is set by a single company. A firm in perfectly competitive industry has zero market power when it comes to setting price, as all firms in such an industry are price takers. The price is set by the interactions of demand or supply at the market or aggregate level. Individual companies simply take the price determined by the market and produce that quality of output the maximize the company's profits under perfect competitions. If a company attempts to increase price above the market level, all its customers would obtain the company and purchase at the market price from other companies. A monopoly has considerable, although not unlimited market power. A monopoly has the power to set price or quantities, although not both. It's the social cost of the monopoly power and competition commission. The capacity of monopolies to charge price higher than its MC impose a heavy cost on the society. Firstly, we have seen that the price charged by monopolists is higher with lesser output being produced. Thus, the consumer suffers as their welfare is reduced with high price and less output being available in the market. Clearly, this happens as the monopolist earns supernormal profit, which implies that there is a redistribution of welfare from many customers to a single producer. Supernormal profit earned in a monopoly also given motivation to monopolies to make efforts to acquire and maintain monopoly positions in any industry. For instance, a producer may be ready to bribe government officials to receive exclusive rights to mine minerals in some particular mines. In such a case, the amount spent on these activities is referred as return. Thinking eventually such an expenditure is a best and socially undeniable producer by may therefore be involved in various activities to uh, establish or maintain the monopoly position. Nick, considerable that firms may be involved in activities that may be socially unfavorable, as those may lead to creations of monopoly and or abuse of such monopoly. Power there is a need for intervention by the government to regulate such activities. This is one of these basic reasons behind creations of antitrust authorities in any economic. In Indian context, we have competitions commissions of India. that attempts to regulate the activities of such firms that may be execute monopoly power and consumer may be suffering due to such activities. Summary: Monopoly is one of the extreme market structures where there is a single seller in the market. In this case, there is a no distinction between firm and industry, as in the case of perfectly competitive firms. Monopoly firms also decide its best level of output at which MR equal MC, but not producing at the lowest part of the AC curve, the firm facing downward sloping demand curve indicates the necessary of price reactions in order to sell more units of output. Monopolies enjoy monopoly power for its product. The real monopoly power may depend upon variety of factors and may vary for different industry. There is a no debate that a perfectly competitive industry is better for customers instead of a monopoly. Thus, the government also makes effort to ensure that competition is maintained in various industries and no single producer is able to exploit the consumer. In this chapter, main key terms is what is meant by monopoly, monopoly barriers, the barriers to entry, monopoly's power, in an index of monopoly power, rent seeking. Next, unit 9, monopolist competitions. Characteristics of monopolist competitions, equilibrium under monopolist competitions, summary. In the last two units, we studied two benchmark market structures, namely perfect competitions and monopoly. As mentioned earlier, in a real world, most of the industry may exist with the market structures. In between these two extreme forms, one such structures is a monopolies competitions, which is a type of imperfect competitions. The word monopolies competitions is an oxymoron, which means putting together words that are contractly. In case of monopolies competitions, may firms exit and entry is not restricted for new firms. Thus is close to perfect competitions, and the use of the word competitions. The unit is organized as follows. Session 1 is 9 discuss characteristics of monopolies competition. Sections 9.3 enumerate equilibrium under monopolies competitions, including both short run and long run. Section 9.4 provides the summary of the unit, and the section 9.5 brings together the key terms used in the unit. Objective. After studying this unit, we should be able to understand the structures of market under monopolist competitions, to understand definited products and non-price competitions, to know the price and output determinations of monopolist firm in the short run and long run. Characteristics of monopolist competitions. There are many producers and many uh, consumers in the market, and no firm has total control over the market price. Consumer perspective that there are non-price difference among the competitors' products. Third, there are a few barriers to entry and exit it. Producers have a degree of control over price. They are price makers. Central features of monopolies competitions is that products are definited. Next, products definition. Products that sale. In case of monopolies, competitions are differentiated from one another such that though these products may satisfy similar on of consumer, if these are not perfect substitutes of each other. Consider for instance market for toothpaste where one may find Colgate, Close-Up, President and many such brands. Note that each product is used for oral hygienics, but how each is different from another. The definitive products are similar but not identical, however, satisfies the same needs. As these products satisfy the same needs of consumers, there is a competitions, but as each firm's definitions is it is the products from other firms, there is a monopoly. Next, there are four main types of definitions. First is the physical product definitions. Second is market definitions. Third, human capital definitions and definitions to uh, distribution. Non-price competitions, advertising and selling expenditure. Currently firms under monopolist competitions make executive efforts to different their products from another. It may lead to non-price competitions among the firms where instead of competitions with each other in terms of price, firms may involve in extensive advertising and selling costs to establish the recognizing factor of the products in the minds of the consumer. Firms can increase its expenditure on products, variations and selling efforts in order to increase its demand. Product variations is the characteristic change made by the firm on their product in order to make the produce more attractive to consumers selling expensive on the other hand include by the firm to advertise their products both the expense insist firm sale and profit. Next, equilibrium under monopolist competitions. Under the monopolist competitions, we cannot drive the market demand curve. The market supply curve of the product is in the case of perfect competition, since each firms in the market sells differentiated products, we do not have a single equilibrium price. Rather, we would have a cluster of price. Unlike in perfectly competitive firms, monopolist firms can decide the characteristics of their products and the selling price. In the short run, supernormal profits are possible, but in the long run, new firms are attached into the industry because of low barriers to entry, goods knowledge and opportunity to different. First is a monopolist competitions in the short run. As firms in monopolist competitions produce their definitive product, the demand curve they face is downward sloping but highly price elastic. It is a highly elastic as many other substitutes of the products are available in the market. The conditions for arriving at profit maximize output and concomitantly the price for each product of a firm is similar to monopoly. In monopolist competitions in the long run. Now, in long run, new firms may be attached to market. Consider that existing firms are enjoy supernormal profits as new firms enter the market. Demand for the existing firms' products becomes more elastic and the demand curve shifts to the left, driving down price. Eventual or supernormal profits are window away. New entries continue until Only normal profit is available at this point. Firms have reached their long run equilibrium. The long run characteristics of a monopoly clearly competitive with market are almost the same as perfectly competitive market. However, difference between these two are that monopolist competitions produce the heterogeneous products and involves in non-price competitions, which is basic on subtle product uh, definitions. In this chapter, main summary is a monopolist competitive industry has characteristics of both perfect competitions and monopoly. Key except its product definitions and executive efforts made by firms of definite their products from other firms to retain their monopoly positions over the product. A firm makes profits in the short run will nonetheless only break even in the long run because demand will decrease and average total cost will increase. This means in the long run, a monopolistically competitive firms will make zero economics profit. Returns in this unit, monopolist competitions, definitely products, non-price competitions. Next chapter is oligopoly. Oligopoly. In this chapter, the main point what is meant by oligopoly. Continuing with the decisions about market structures, we now move on to oligopoly. The word oligopoly has Greek roots in words oligos, meaning few, and polis, implying sellers. If you closely observe industry like communications, uh, aviations, and automobile, we will find very few players in this industry. For instance, in the telecommunications in India, we have firms like Airtel, Vodafone, and BSN with a few other small players, but with a large number of buyers with small numbers of firms. The key features of such a structures are the interdependence among the firms for price. This unit is organized as follows sections. 10.2 discuss the tactics of oligopoly from sections. 10.3 educate oligopoly model sections. 10.5 provides a summary for the chapter and key terms, questions, and exercises are discussed in sections 10.6 and 10.7 respectively. In this chapter, main objective is was objective to understand the structures of market under oligopoly. Second, to understand the models of oligopoly. And third, to understand market considerations and measures used to qualify it. Which means the oligopoly and its characteristics. Oligopoly is one of the market structures prevalent in most of the manufacturing sector, including India. In terms of few sellers, if there are only two sellers, it is called as duopoly. If the products in the markets homogeneous, we have pure oligopoly. For example, aluminum, steel, etc. If producers sell definition products, we have definition oligopoly. For example, tablet, smartphones, etc. As mentioned earlier, since there are only few sellers in the market, the actions of a few affects the actions of its competitor. In case of telephone industry, when Airtel Invest traffic directs to the customer's idea cellular or Vodafone may immediately follow the traffic policy. Price competitions, previous non-price competitions. The firms under oligopoly may compete with each other in form of either price or non-price competitions. Price competitions refers to a counter strategy of a firm with response to their competitors would be in terms of price. For instance, when the price cut in the sale of certain model. Tata Motors also responds in the same manners by reducing the price of certain model called price competition since competitions often leads to harmful price war. Oligopoly refers to complete the products definitions and other strategy like advertising. These types of competitions refers to as non-price competitions. To sum up, rivalry is the main features of oligopoly which arise from the few sellers. Thus, there is a possibility of price war among the firms that may occur as first new producer seller sells at a lower price than the existing one to establish itself in the market. Second, existing producer seller wants to retain market share by increasing price. Structure is the degree of cooperations among the firms. When firms cooperate completely, they engage in conclusion. These terms denotes situations in which two or more firms jointly set their price or how to spread out the market among them or make other business decisions jointly. Source of oligopoly. Difficulties encountered in entering an industry are often referred to as barriers to entry. We had decisions or barriers to entry in the unit covering monopoly. These barriers also play a key role in oligopoly by restricting the number of sellers in an industry. First is the economics of sale, free but limited entry, established firms, government policy, control over input, product definitions, uh, patent, control over input. Oligopoly models. In case of oligopoly, there is no gender. Therefore, for oligopoly, as it's difficult to ascribe a single type of interactions among the firms, thus a number of models of a various degree of realism have emerged over a period of time with different assumptions regarding the directions among firms. Some of these models have been come understand and explain below. The Cournot model, the French economist Augustin Courbet introduced the concept of oligopoly model in 1838, highlighting the interdependence of existing firms in such an industry. Firm simplicity, the model assumes that there are only two firms selling amongst products, and firms make decisions about the price and output. Monopolies at the exiting level. The king demand curve. I mentioned earlier, there is a no stand model that explains oligopoly completely. Each model assumes a particular behavior or witness to extent of some thing particularly. Price regardless is one such instance that has been observed in oligopoly, whereby firms may follow a firm increases its price, but not in case of price increase. This price becomes reason for upward movement. Lateral arrangements and price leadership. Price leadership is a fourth model of oligopoly that ensures less that or in increasing. Summary. This unit provides an idea of the oligopoly models where the market is characterized by a few sellers and price regardless. Thank you very much.